Over time, in wanting to orient all of you to the way that creation happens, we explain to you that it's a vibrational universe and you get what you think about. And today we're saying to you that you've created a vibrational reality that will become the reality that you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. But you've got to orient yourself in a way that you can, which means just like that woman in the airport, you got to stop talking so that you can hear. It was true of both sides of that in that case, but your inner being is always offering you. Your inner being never becomes impatient. Your inner being will never yell at you. As long as you keep thinking about things the way they are, they're not going to change, because your inner being is not that angry mother, and your inner being is not on drugs either. Your inner being knows what you want, and here it is, and what the path of least resistance is for you to get to it. So here's the question: how are you going to put yourself in a position of hearing? Because you've got all these thoughts that are powerfully emanating from you that are drowning out your ability to hear. Your ability to hear, your ability to receive an impulse. Impulses, when you have an impulse from source, an impulse meaning it feels like something you really want to do, an impulse that's strong enough that you want to follow through on it. So how are you going to put yourself in a position where you can hear? Well, we have some ideas for you. The only way that you're going to be able to hear what's coming from source is you've got to stop the chatter that's coming from every place else. So it means not only are you going to have to stop shouting into the wilderness about what you want in vain, but you got to stop listening to all of the peanut gallery that's in that see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it phase with you too. In other words, you sort of have to quiet the physical world just for a little while. We suggest 15 minutes a day. That's enough, which is what meditation is. If you can sit and meditate, which means quiet your mind, which simply means stop the chatter, simply means put yourself in a place of listening. Put yourself in a place where you can hear. And you're not going to put yourself in a place where you can hear when you're out in the world, when you're on the bus, when you're sitting on a bench next to a lady on a telephone. Everybody's on the phone. There's no silence anywhere. Everywhere you go, there's something going on. There's something going on everywhere you go. How are you going to get to a quiet place? Well, you have to do it on purpose. And it's not just a quiet place, it's a quiet state. You've got to quiet the noise before you can hear the answers to the questions, before you can receive the solutions to the problems, before you can receive the next impulse. Because you see, there is a path of least resistance. Your inner being knows. Consider this. We so want you to hear this. Your inner being knows every single thing you want. It's so vivid and clear. There's a vibrational reality that's so bright and beautiful, and you've created it so magnificently, and you're going to love it as it manifests. But we want you to love it even before it manifests. That's really a key, which means you've got to stop looking at the evidence that defies the new in order to allow the new. Because when you look at the evidence that defies it, then you don't encourage it. You don't allow it into your experience, you see. So when you quiet your mind, when you actually focus upon something in meditation, like a flickering candle or a dripping faucet or a sound in the air conditioning or something, even your own breathing sometimes is helpful. Anything that you can focus upon to focus yourself into a quieted place where your mind mostly is still. What happens then, because your inner being knows where you are in terms of your mind, in terms of your physical personality, knows where you are in relationship to everything that you've asked for. Your inner being knows what your path of least resistance, what your mind path of least resistance, what thought is likely to get you to where you want to be. Esther couldn't find her golden pen. Her inner being knew where it was. Esther couldn't find it. And so Esther received an impulse to look for a perfume sprayer that was in the same purse with the pen. Her inner being knew where the pen was, but Esther decided it was gone forever. So Esther was not going to find that pen. It got tangled up in the lining of that purse the 100 times that she turned it upside down and tried to shake it out. It was in there and it wouldn't come out. It was in there and it wouldn't come out. It wouldn't come out. It couldn't come out because you can't find what's lost. And Esther knew it was lost. Not only did she know it was lost, she suffered over it being lost. She hated that it was lost. She felt so bad that it was lost. She so much didn't want it to be lost. She was all wrapped up in it being lost. And it didn't matter what she did, she could not find it, because you cannot find something that is lost. Her inner being knew that a path of lesser resistance was to give her an impulse to look for something that was near it, because it was lost. So she reached in to a purse she'd been carrying around. We know it sounds unbelievable, but you cannot find what's lost. Reached in for her perfume, came out with her pen. Because your inner being knows where everything is and knows what your path of least resistance is. Your inner being holds no grudges. Your inner being doesn't say, well, he's a dummy. We're never going to get him there that way. Let's go this way instead. It's not like that at all. Well, maybe it is a little that way.
It feels like that.
What it really is your inner being is really wanting to get you to where you want to be, and will take you. And this is the thing. You're so smart, you don't let this happen. Your inner being will take you on thought paths that you think are illogical. Well, they're not illogical. They're perfectly logical when you understand that you can't get there the way you've been trying to get there. The way you've been trying to get there isn't working. You need another path. And so your inner being offers you an idea of another path, but you're too smart for that. Oh no, that won't work, you say. But your inner being never stops offering the new and improved. So two things happen when you meditate. First is you quiet your mind so you have an opportunity to hear, to receive an impulse of what your inner being is offering. You have to know, though, that your inner being will offer you path of least resistant thoughts. So sometimes it's such a path of least resistant thought that it doesn't seem like it's even on the topic of your concern. So you don't think you're getting a message that's helpful, even though you are. Are you hearing us? We keep telling this story. We're going to tell it really brief. Nothing Esther cares more about than being in the position where she can maybe allow Abraham to help someone understand how the universe works so their life can be better. That's what she wants. That's almost all that she wants. That's what she wants. So she wakes up one morning and has an impulse to figure out how to work her music system. Well, that seems really off topic, doesn't it? Except it was such a powerful desire, she couldn't deny it. And in a little while, she figured out how to work it. And in the process, discovered beautiful music that she's playing all through the land with all of her speakers and all of her courtyards and gardens and inside the house and outside the house, and having so much fun with it. And discovers rap. We're being really fast with this story. Loved the rap, listened to the rap, and then that was it. She went on with her day. She did not know how profound thoughts had begun to turn to things. She did not know she was on the path of something wonderful. All she knew was she had a good time doing something that just occurred to her, and she didn't know why, and she didn't question why. She just had fun. So the next day she comes out of meditation, and she has this insatiable desire to move all the furniture around in her house, which she can't do by herself, which led her to call a company that sent two men. And when they came, they had a good time. They moved all the furniture around. They moved it all around, and then they moved most of it back to where it was before. But they had a really good time moving the furniture around, and Esther wasn't really thinking about why she wanted to move the furniture around. She just wanted to move the furniture around. It wasn't logical. It was just really fun. It was just a really fun thing to do. And she was able to clean out a lot of under rugs that hadn't been moved in years. And so it was really a fun experience. But in the process, the two men that came, one of them, bright and beautiful and full of desire that he wasn't articulating. And then Esther, she's talking about the weather and how beautiful it was in Southern California, and he's talking about how beautiful it is, but he's moving back to Alabama. Why, Esther wants to know, what is wrong with you? Why would you possibly leave this place? And he says, because I'm a rapper and I have stuff going on back there, and I'm not able to get it going out here, so I'm going to go back to where it was going. And Esther says, hang on just a minute. So she goes in, pushes the new buttons that she's discovered, pushes them in all the zones in all the land. The entire neighborhood is now hearing rap. And this young man's eyes are as big as saucers. He cannot understand what this woman is doing with rap. She's got moves too. And So he says, who are you? What do you do? And Esther said, I'm a teacher. Well, what do you teach? Esther said, rap. So now she has this perfect lead-in. This perfect lead-in. He has the best questions that you've ever heard, and Esther has the best answers that we've ever given, and she gives him books and materials, and off he goes. And then, and only then, once that all has occurred, does Esther realize that she was getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to do the thing that matters most of all to her. And so this is what we want you to hear. Sometimes what you receive seems like it has nothing to do with what you really want. But here's the thing. It's only because you've meditated, and it's only because you really quieted your mind, and it's only because you know that you really quieted your mind that you can know for sure that you received this thought from source. And you can know that if you received a thought from source, it's a good one, and you might be well to follow it and see where it leads, you see. So after you get the hang of this, once you start listening to that, once you're willing to quiet your mind and stop all the racket and feel that soothing of alignment, and then get an impulse to do something, and then you get to witness the unfolding of it, so you come to trust not only that source is aware of you, but the source is good for you, the source is loving you, the source does know what you want and where you are in relationship to it, and will lead you. We'll lead you impulse and inspiration by impulse and inspiration, but you got to put yourself in a position where you can hear. The other day, yesterday, Esther was waiting in a boarding area to get on an airplane to come to see you, and she was sitting very near a woman who was on the telephone having a very loud and unpleasant conversation with someone. Seemed like it might be her daughter. Seemed like it from the words that Esther was hearing. And Esther tried not to focus on it, but it was very loud. And Esther thought about moving, but it was very interesting. And so then the woman said, I can't get a word in. You're not going to stop talking. I can't get a word in. You're not going to hear me. I can't get a word in. I can't get a word in. I can't get a word in. I can't get a word. I can't get a word in. I can't get a word in. Shut up. Shut up. I can't get a word in. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. I hate you too. And hung up. And Esther thought, wow. And then the woman looked really sad for a little while. And Esther wanted to go over and put her arm around her and say, you know, we can only hate those we really, really love. And then Esther thought, better that I just mind my own business. And then Esther thought, too late, too late. Haven't been minding my own business. But then through the flight, Esther's thought came back to that, because coincidentally, that woman was sitting right next to Esther on a flight that was pre-assigned seats. And so Esther is pondering that, wondering what she should say, if anything, and she didn't say anything. She knew that the momentum was enough that she would just evoke defensiveness. But the wonderful thing about Esther getting to overhear this is that as Esther relaxed and reclined her seat and closed her eyes, she was able to hear our comments about the subject. And we said to Esther, you know, this is the best experience that you've witnessed in a long while, that helps you to understand what we've been talking about asking and receiving. How asking the question and receiving the answer are two different modes. And that when you keep talking, when you keep thinking, when you try too hard, when you stay actively involved in solving your own problem, you're in a position where you can't hear the answer, even though we all are offering it to you on a steady, ongoing basis. It's just like this woman was screaming at her child, you've got to shut up in order to hear me. Now, we want to say it nicer to you, but you've got to shut up in order to hear your inner being flowing to you, because when you ask It is always given. But you know what? You ask and it's given, and you don't let it in. And you know why you don't let it in? Because you're so looking at what is and arguing for your limitations, or trying to explain why it is like it is, or just